Hello, my name is Jkenner. In 1989, I began taking a closer look at endangered animals in Africa. I traveled across the Masai Mara and Serengeti in a Land Rover with a British guide, a Maasai cook, and a driver. We followed the elephants. When they stopped to dig for water in dried riverbeds, then we stopped as well, getting water and making camp. I hunted rhino, elephant, buffalo, giraffe, and lions with my camera, making my photographs my trophies. This year, I joined with Intrepid Expeditions to return to Africa, but this time I'm inviting you, your family, and teachers to travel with me to a conservation bush school. Here, we will learn all about how nature is perfect, from professional bush specialists. After this encounter with nature, we will then trek off to hunt with our cameras on a real safari.
As we arrived in South Africa, we were met immediately at the airport by airport staff that got us through customs and helped us navigate that. And then we were immediately picked up by the Intrepid Expeditions staff and team, as well as our guide. I was never concerned about security. One of the main reasons is the guide that we had does much training with special forces and security people in himself, and does that as a role to his business. Once we got there, the food, the accommodations, the staff they far exceeded any expectation I had. It was a very nice environment to be in. The rooms were great. The food was wonderful.
I love the accommodations. I thought they were great.
I enjoyed the accommodations. I wouldn't say they were the Ritz-Carlton, but I didn't expect that. I thought they were really appropriate for what we were doing. They were comfortable. They provided us with what we needed, and couldn't have asked for more, to be honest with you.
When I first heard about the trip, I was a little reluctant to think about taking a group of students over to Africa and somewhere that far, but then as it turned into an experience that they could have with their families, became very excited about the opportunity they'd have to see and learn in an environment much different than what they're used to in Memphis.
We were able to get reasonably close, but at the same point in time they were always aware of what was going on, and the reminders that they gave us to help us understand that we were in their environment and not our own environment was also very helpful. And I felt very safe as long as you were paying attention to what was going on and you were staying in the context of what they were telling you.
We took a few selfies. It kept us really busy because some days we woke up at 4:30 to 5, and then some days we woke up at 7 to 8.
I really enjoyed getting up early and going out on the safari and seeing the sunrise. That was probably my favorite part of the whole trip.
Well, and the night sky was pretty cool too. I don't know, it's hard to pick. I loved it that you know, their stars are different than ours in their constellation, and it was just, our guides just knew so much. They were just teaching. There really wasn't a moment that we were just sitting around. I mean, we learned constantly, and I think what was interesting to me was you had very varied age groups there. You have, you know, it's young students, and you have, you know, 2nd grade, and you have 5th grade, and then you've got adults.
The night drives, because it was certainly a completely different experience out under the stars. I particularly like the last night when we came in and you could see the stars and the Milky Way, just being in that type of environment that we don't get to see here because of all the light exposure.
My dad told me that we would get to learn about all the different animals that live in Africa.
I think the thing that impressed me the most was the staff, their ability to help you understand what was going on, to move that many people and do it efficiently, as well as just kind of create an environment that was an educational but a very safe environment.
As wonderful as our elephant walk was the first morning, it's one of the neatest things I've ever done. Part of me wishes that we had done that more towards the end of the trip, after all of us had developed more confidence being out in the wild and knowing that the people who were surrounding us and leading the trip truly had us in in a safe position. So
one of the great things about having 2 cameras is I've noticed I've gone through all of our pictures and Will captured some things that I didn't capture or from a different angle, and so it's been great to have both of them working because, you know, he captured some great pictures that...
Like the cobra, he's on the backside.
How far can he strike?
Could probably strike to about here.
Like that.
What about if we take this to the next level? What happens if we're walking along and we step on the snake? Think he's going to bite?
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. Walking along. We step on a puff adder. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Tongue came out.
7,
Yes.
8, maybe right on his head. 9, 10.
Jeez.
And our guides were constantly teaching us, whether it was about the plants around us and how they grew and regrew and what you could use them for if you were surviving in the wild, and how they were out there to, you know, how you could live off the land.
We sent dung beetle larvae to Australia.
We are all dungologists now, if that's even, that's not a word, I know, but I learned more about dung than I ever cared to learn. But it actually was fascinating.
And sprays his dung everywhere. That's him marking his territory, okay? Especially roots like this here. He'll use the same root every night, okay? And spray his dung. That's him marking his territory. Alright? So they're very, as I said, they're very, very protective over their water. Walking through here, okay? And he'll walk, and he'll walk, and he'll walk, and he'll walk, and he'll go. Now, animals never go backwards. Always, now he feels he's been caught, so he panics, so he rushes forward, and the snake is tight around his neck, okay, and eventually strangles it. Right?
I would say my personal favorite of all the excursions were the trekking excursions. Being out there in the bush, on foot, near the animals, in their natural habitat, and learning about how they live and where.
And the kids learned so much about, you know, it was like hunting them, but we hunted them with our cameras. So it was neat. It was the thrill of the chase of finding them with footprints and downwind, and learning about seeing where they'd been with branches that had been broken and where they'd eaten. And
I always enjoyed amateur photography, and to be able to learn a lot about photography on the trip also was very encouraging to me to have a better understanding and continue to add to that personal knowledge. But I think the aspect of coming back and taking a photo and experiencing a live creature and leaving it in its environment was just as valuable to me as one that has been through the process of taxidermy. As a physician, you know, I'm very much aware of what medicinal purposes certain things have, and I think the ultimate irony for me was to think that the rhinoceros horn, which is really nothing more than a big toenail made out of keratin, is being sold as an aphrodisiac, it's being sold as a cancer cure, and there is no indication in the medical literature anywhere in the world that would support that, and yet it continues to be purported as that and being sold as that.
I was comfortable the entire time because I knew we were the best of the best, and they were not going to put me or any of us, my child or any of us, in harm's way. So I was never in fear.
I had total faith in our guides, and I felt safe with them and their expertise and the way what they told us to do, we did.
It far exceeded our expectations. It's one of the neatest things we will ever do as a family.
There we go.
Stay one more night.
Sure, the kids are.
No, I'm gonna stay some more.
How long you want to stay?
A few more days.
You like what we're doing here? You think you want to live in Africa?